Hi, I'm Jeff, and welcome to another one of my videos where I take a look at all the new comic books coming out on either December 28th or 29th, 2021. And I ask myself the question, what one new comic book would I buy this week if I could buy just one book? This is the last week of 2021. Happy New Year to all of you. Being that it's the last week of the year, it's not the best week. It's not the worst week either, but it's not the best week. So there's nothing really truly exciting to talk about this week, but there are some worthy honorable mentions. But before we get into those, let's go ahead and take a look back to my pick from 2 weeks ago, which was Hulk, issue number 2. And the question remains, was it a worthy and worthwhile pick to be my just one book pick of the week? And the answer is yes. Yes, it was. I really enjoyed it. Listen, I've said it once and I'll say it again. Donny Cates is really good at giving me some really kind of amazing comic book moments. And there were some over-the-top moments in this Hulk issue number 2 that were just like over the top in the most awesome way. Like at one point, I don't think this is really a spoiler, but the Hulk ship, the Starship Hulk basically, tears through a group of people that are trying to stop it, like in a heartbeat. And it was just kind of one of those moments that is just so awesome and kind of graphic as well. I really appreciate the fact that they went there with it, specifically that Donny Cates went there with it. So far, like, I think I said this when I talked about Hulk issue number 1. I'm not really a Hulk fan. I got nothing wrong with Hulk, but the Hulk doesn't really float my boat. But what Donny Cates is doing with the Hulk right now, I'm really, really enjoying it. It's really fun. It's really entertaining. I really enjoyed issue number 2, and I'm really looking forward to what else is to come from this title. All right, let's go ahead and move forward with the books that are coming out this week. I will be doing 5 honorable mentions. The 5th honorable mention might just be my pick for you this week. But then I will mention the 6th book, which will be my just one book pick for myself. Let's go ahead and start off with my first honorable mention, which is Swamp Thing, Green Hell. Issue number 1 of a 3-issue limited series from DC Black Label. Here is the description. The Earth is all but done. The last remnants of humanity cling to a mountaintop island lost in endless floodwater. The parliaments of the green, the red, and the rot all agree. It's time to wipe the slate clean and start the cycle of life over again. And to do so, they've united their powers to summon an avatar, one of the most horrific monsters to ever stalk the surface of this forsaken planet. Against a creature like that, there can be no fighting back, unless you have a soldier who understands the enemy, someone who has used its tactics before, someone like Alec Holland. Of course, it would help if Alec Holland hadn't been dead for decades. Jeff Lemire, the author of the smash hits Joker, Killer Smile, and The Question: The Deaths of Vic Sage, along with the graphic novel that inspired the television sensation Sweet Tooth, returns to Black Label with one of the greatest artists in modern DC history, Doug Mahnke, in tow. Together, they'll unleash a gory, gruesome monster mash, where the fate of humanity rests in the hands of someone who isn't human at all. All right, this just sounds like it could be a good read. This is a DC Black Label book, as I mentioned last week with Jock's Batman book. I believe it's called One Dark Night, if I remember correctly. This is in, I believe, that oversized Black Label format because it's $7, $6.99, just like that Jock Batman book was that I mentioned last week. So I think that this is kind of, it sounds like a cool story. I don't know much about Swamp Thing as a character. I don't know that I've ever read a dedicated Swamp Thing comic, but Swamp Thing is one of those characters that when it's written really well and there's a really cool story, that it could be, I think, a really great read. So I think that this could be really entertaining. And I like Jeff Lemire. The stuff that I've checked out from Jeff Lemire, I've really enjoyed. I'm currently reading Primordial, which I'm enjoying. So I have a lot of faith in Jeff Lemire's ability to tell a really great story. And the description sounds pretty cool as well. So I feel like this has a lot of things going on for it. So I wanted to go ahead and mention it to you. The next book that I want to mention in my honorable mentions is Power Rangers Universe, issue number 1 of a 6-issue limited series from Boom Studios. Here's the description. What is the true origin of the Phantom Ranger? And what is his connection to the Morphin Grid? From the moment he first appeared 24 years ago, fans have wondered about the origin of the mysterious Phantom Ranger. Questions which have never been answered until now. Boom Studios proudly presents a limited series event that will delve into the deepest origins of the Power Rangers universe. Origins that have the Phantom Ranger at their heart. Okay, a little bit of a confession I have. When I was younger, I think maybe it was in my 20s, I would watch Power Rangers from time to time. I thought it was kind of fun and entertaining and lighthearted. It was kind of like a live-action cartoon in a lot of ways. And I checked it out from time to time. I wasn't diehard about it, but I watched it and I enjoyed it. So I appreciate the Power Rangers. That being said, I'm not somebody who's going to buy a Power Rangers comic book at this phase in my life. I got nothing against it, and it sounds like they're telling some pretty interesting stories, but it's just not for me. However, if you're a Power Rangers fan, I'm sure you're going to be very, very interested in this Power Rangers universe book. If you are Power Rangers curious, maybe this would be an opportunity to check out a Power Rangers story. They're telling the true origin of the Phantom Ranger. Maybe there's some decent opportunities for some cool storytelling to be had there. It's only a 6-issue limited series, so you can go in for the full 6 issues and get the full story out of it, or buy the first one, see if you like it, get more if you don't, and move on get more if you do like it, and move on if you don't like it. So anyways, like I said in the beginning of this video, it's kind of a light week, so it's a week where I mention Power Rangers Universe, as well as a week where I mention a book like this. Wastelanders, Star-Lord, issue number 1 from Marvel Comics. Here's the description. Peter Quill, haunted by his past. The legendary Star-Lord has fallen on hard times. With the Guardians of the Galaxy disbanded, Peter Quill returns to Earth to find it a wasteland unlike anything he's seen across the stars. Heroes dead, villains in power. While he's taken out one threat, others remain in the wastelands, and Star-Lord's own desire to assuage his guilt for being off-world during the calamity will land him right in the middle of another. Will Quill overcome the mysterious force waiting for him at the site of his lost love's death? Or is she not really dead at all? Alright, so I mentioned the Wastelanders Wolverine, which was kind of an old man Logan story a couple weeks ago as an honorable mention. There have been other Wastelanders themed books since then that I haven't mentioned. I'm not particularly interested in the Wastelanders story, although it does sound kind of interesting, a world where most of the heroes have been defeated and the villains are ruling in the future. That's interesting. So I give it brownie points for that, which is basically why I bothered to mention this book at all. That and this kind of crotchety old rocket on the cover of this issue, this cover of the issue. that kind of got my attention a little bit as well as something I was like, oh, okay, what's going on there? So anyways, it's a light week. And once again, in light weeks, I mentioned books like Wastelander's Star-Lord. Okay, the next honorable mention that I have for you is Stray Dogs. Dog Days, issue number 1 of a 2-issue limited series. This is from Image Comics. Here's the description. A series of vicious short stories howling straight out of the pages of Stray Dogs, 2021's surprise cartoon/horror smash hit. In Dog Days, each stray will get their moment to shine. Questions will be answered, mysteries will be solved, and old wounds will be torn open. Starting this December, every dog has its day. Register pitch. The Lady and the Tramp meets Silence of the Lambs horror thriller that took the industry by storm is back in this standalone spin-off. Not quite standalone, it's a 2-part, but fair enough. Register pitch. If you haven't already seen it, I would like to take this opportunity to steer you toward the interview that I did with Tony Fleece at LA Comic-Con. I will put the card for it right up there. But we do talk about this in the interview that I did with him, and the kind of Cliff Note version of this is that it's just more of Stray Dogs. Basically, the main Stray Dog story was not focused necessarily on the backstory of the dogs. And it was their hope that if it was successful, that they would put out 2 more issues that would get into more of the stories of the individual dogs. And that's what these are, these 2 issues that are coming out, these Dog Days issue, because Stray Dogs was a massive hit. And so now we're getting more of it. Will there be anything key or especially collectible? Will these books be as valuable as, say, a Stray Dogs 1 first print? Probably not. I don't think they're going to get much by the way of new from these Dog Days books. But if you're a fan of Stray Dogs, like if you're one of those people that didn't just buy Stray Dogs to have in your collection and you didn't read it, if you actually read Stray Dogs and enjoyed it, this is probably something that you are not going to hesitate to pick up this week because it's more Stray Dogs. And it'll help kind of flesh out the world of these characters. Now, if I was to like really hone in on the spec potential of it, maybe there's this much spec potential there, because if, or more likely when, they make a Stray Dogs movie, probably not a television series, they might flesh out more of these characters, the dogs' backstories. And those backstories will come from these Dog Days books. So maybe there will be information in these books that will end up in the movie or television show, maybe. Doubtful. So maybe there will be key elements to these books. But ultimately, I think you're going to pick this up because you already read Stray Dogs, you enjoyed it, and you're interested in getting a little bit more. And that's exactly what this book is. Okay. My final honorable mention that I have for you this evening is Timeless, issue number 1 from Marvel Comics. Here's the description. How do you win a war against time? A special year-ending adventure that gives portents as to what is to come in the Marvel Universe over the next 12 months. Kang the Conqueror is a warrior, a destroyer, a subjugator, but even he is subject to the whims and the vicissitudes of time itself. That's a new word for me. Vicissitudes of time itself. So when a parallel timeline threatens to overwrite the future that Kang has fought so long and so hard to control, the Master of the Ages has no choice but to go to war with time itself, battling through days of tomorrow as he struggles to prevent the end of what is to come, featuring all the major players in the Marvel Pantheon. Okay, this is the book this week that if I had a just one book pick for you, not for me, for you, I'd probably pick Timeless issue number 1. It seems like this is going to be kicking off a story that, like they say, is going to be in the Marvel Universe for the next 12 months, for the next year. We're going to be having these types of timeline stories coming from our Marvel comic books. And so you might want to pick this up if you're a Marvel fan and plan on picking up a decent amount of Marvel comics over the next year. This will prepare you for it. Frankly, I am a big fan of the multiverse. And I think that having multiple versions of superheroes is really pretty fun. And it's part of the kind of, what's the word? Silliness in a way of comic books that I enjoy so much, is that you crack open the multiverse and you can have like all these different types of, superheroes, multiple Spider-Mans, multiple Iron Mans. The potential for storytelling is limitless when you have a limitless multiverse. It makes sense that Marvel is doing multiverse tie-ins, since of course they are digging into the multiverse with the MCU in the movies and the television shows. So I think that this could be really, really entertaining. But I have to say, it's not my pick this week, because for me, for the longest time, I saw this and I was like, it's another Marvel event. I really can't involve myself in another Marvel event. This one's lasting the entire year. I can't go too deep on these. I'm trying to limit my comic books, not open them up to the multiverse of comic books. So I was really trying to resist this title, but I gotta tell you, the covers that I've been seeing, like when I was doing research for this video and I saw the images for all of these covers, that's when I was starting to be like, man, this might be really awesome and I might need to just break down and check it out. I was not going to pick up this book this week, but the more I think about it and the more I see these images of these covers, the more I'm like, just pick up, follow my own advice. Pick up the first issue. If I like it, then consider buying more as more of them are released. And if I don't like it, file it away. Who knows? Maybe there'll be something minorly key in there, doubtful, but maybe there will be. So, like I said, the more I think about it, and even the more I talk about it right now to you, I think I am going to talk myself into picking this up this week. So that's why it's my pick for you this week, and my personal honorable mention with an asterisk. Let's put it that way. All right, that brings us to the last book that I'm going to mention this week in this video. And it is the book that I, Jeff, would buy this week if I could buy just one book. In fact, in my poll, I have one book this week. It's very unusual, which is probably another reason that's going to motivate me to pick up Timeless. But in my poll, I have just one book this week. And that one book is DC versus Vampires, issue number 3 from DC. Here is the description. Vampires are hunting on the streets of Gotham City as the coming undead plague makes its first move. Batman's investigation into the disappearance of Andrew Bennett takes him into the sewers beneath the Hall of Justice, where he makes a stunning discovery. And the fall of another hero means the war for Earth has begun. Okay. Some of you out there are probably sitting there going, Jeff, did you pick that just because it was written by James Tynion IV? And no, that is not the case at all. In fact, I sometimes forget that this book is written by James Tynion IV. I think I actually was reading issue number 2, and I went back and I was like, wait, James Tynion IV he didn't just write the first one, he is writing this whole thing, right? And I went and I was like, oh yeah, he is. It's understandable why I'm enjoying it so much. And this book has a lot of things that are in the con category for me. I am not a big fan of vampires. I think vampires as a monster are a little played out. And I have generally been very resistant to vampire stories. I know that things like Deceased and Marvel Zombies and things like that, they've been entertaining and people have enjoyed them, but I stayed away from them completely for another reason, which is because these kind of like non-canon, just kind of like what-if stories that are running mini-series or maxi-series like this one is, this 12-part series, generally speaking, aren't super interesting to me. I like stuff that are either like way out there, like a what-if story, or in continuity. But I decided to give DC versus Vampires a shot because of James Tynion IV. And I am amazed at how much I am enjoying it. How intrigued I am by the story that's developing. Interested I am in what's happening to the characters. I mean, one character dies, and another character who's very, very close to that character, you know me, I like to be vague because I don't want to do spoilers at all, shows up and says, well, where's this other character? I'm freaking out because I can't find them. And I'm sitting there going, oh wow. Oh, they don't know, that person is dead. And I'm like, that's a big deal to this person. But as an audience, knowing what I know and knowing that they don't know, there's just a lot of, I'm using that as an example of how I'm invested in what's happening to these characters. And then at the end of the issue, another hero dies. And it was interesting to see how the vampire version of this one character took out this hero. I don't know that I'm doing the best job describing what is good about this book. All I know is that I am personally, once again, and this is my personal pick for the week, blown away at how much I am enjoying DC versus Vampires. Something that I would have thought I would have been like out and not interested, but I am all in. I am, issue number 2 built on what I enjoyed about issue number 1, and I'm really looking forward to issue number 3 and everything else that is to come from it. So these are the reasons why in a slow week, that being said, the one book that I'm buying this week that was like a guarantee that I was going to be buying, once again, I'll probably be picking up Timeless, but the one book that was a guarantee sure thing that I knew I would be buying this week was DC vs. Vampires, issue number 3, and that is why it is my just one book pick for this week. All right, guys and gals, that's my video for this week. I hope that there was something in it that you found interesting and informative. If there was, I encourage you to hit the like button. In addition, if you haven't subscribed, I would do that. Do that. Why not? I appreciate all of my new subscribers, by the way. I get this constant trickle of new subscribers, and I appreciate all of you who have come in and checked out the videos and written me some really, really nice comments down in the comments. Thank you so much for your very complimentary and generous comments to all of you who have done that. I really do appreciate that. It kind of is the wind beneath my wings right now when I make these videos. Anyways, Happy New Year to all of you. Thank you so much for watching this video. I'll see you in 2022.